just like Prematch Show from Mercedes-Benz Stadium. So we went to China shortly as a Ready United gets ready to take down the Seattle Sounders here at Mercedes-Benz Stadium. And let's get right to it. We are starting 11. Just how 2 minutes ago before we came on live. Before we did that, good to see Kevin, Daniel. Good to see you as well. Go ahead and put your predictions in the chat. Let's know what you think your predictions are for this evening's match. So let's go to the lineups just quickly. Amador Williams, Gregerson back in the starting 11 for his first time in forever. So Keon Gregerson starting. And they're saying back pairing with Derek Williams. Darrell Hernandez back in the starting 11 as well. Anybody Smith, your midfielders, Miranchuk, your number 10. Luke Brennan starting for the second match in a row. Miguel on the run the right hand side, wearing the armband once again, and Emmanuel watching left. Starting up top for Atlanta, and of course, Brad, Suzanne, and goal. Tyler, obviously, we expected Enya Mihai to be on the bench. But I think the big thing that I noticed from this particular lineup is Deion Gregerson getting his start really off the hop. You know, just coming out from the injured list, and now right away getting a start. So that's one matchup that I'll definitely be watching for tonight. I don't know if you can hear
Yeah.
me. There we go.
Yeah, you just kind of cut out a little bit, but you're good. No, I mean, I wasn't expecting Gregerson to kind of step back in as a starter that quick, but I almost wonder if maybe part of it was because, like, maybe that's why he was out so long on the injury list. Maybe he was just really, really getting 100% back to full health, because he's had this, injury that just kind of keeps popping back up like every time he plays a game or two. So maybe they just said, you know what, we're going to keep you out until you're fully healed. But you got Mihai on the bench, so I'm sure you'll see him in some capacity, I would imagine. And then I think it's kind of interesting that you have Ronald Hernandez starting over Brooks Lennon, which I personally, I know this is going to be like a very divisive topic, but I actually think that's great, because I think the combination between Miggy on the right and Ronald Hernandez over there is much, much better than what you have with Brooks and Miggy.
Yeah, and the sentiment around Lennon has certainly been pretty low all throughout this season. Yeah, I think we tweeted out a video of Lennon at training the other day, saying that he was having discussions on a possible contract extension, and fans were really frustrated with that news, I guess. But I definitely agree with you. The fact certainly feels a little bit better without Lennon. We talked so much about him just before that he's been in, and how it just makes sense for him to get a change of scenery. So you're wrong for him to play the right hand side instead of Brooks Lennon. Another player we want to call out, that's what I want to call it, is Luke Brennan getting a start for the second match in a row. Saba on the bench to start this match. Looked good. Looked good the other day, the other week, I could say, against Charlotte. And we have a lot of complaints for him. I mean, obviously, he's young. Obviously, there's some things in his game he needs to iron out, but Luke Brennan getting a start once more.
No, I like it a lot. I mean, I don't want to take anything away from Luke Brennan, because, I mean, y'all know my feelings on Luke. I think he is, again, one of those guys that has that expected dog in him. And he has the dark arts, which I love. And he's got the speed. He told us in the locker room the other day after the last match that, he saw his strengths against Charlotte in that match in his speed and his ability to take guys on 1v1. And it's refreshing to see a winger on that side of the pitch playing for Atlanta United take guys on 1v1, because you just don't see it enough. And he's playing with confidence. I love it. That being said, he is also like really the only main left winger on the roster right now, unless you throw Saba over there. But again, it's not his primary position. You throw Miggy over there, that's not either one of his primary positions. So, but it's not to take anything away. I don't want to even consider it like out of necessity, because I think he actually has earned starting minutes in the bins in front of all these people. And he talked about like how he's grown up with this club and he wants to represent them for a long time. we'll see if that happens. But I think if he continues to kind of develop the way that we've seen him with the twos and everything else, then he's well on his way to doing something special.
They're kind of joking in the press box, is he starting out of necessity or is he starting because he's being shocked? I mean, in the news, obviously, Noah Khan being loaned out to the Rapids, and that's why we're else being traded to Montreal. But I'm really excited to see Vic once more. I'm really excited to see what he can do against the Sounders. Again, like every young player, certainly thinks that he needs to iron out in his game, but he'll get there before long, I would hope. And I would hope, like he said, that's with Atlanta United. I really want to see this defense much improved. Um, Going into the season, Derek Williams and Deion Gregerson were your starting back, were your starting center backs, your two starting center backs. We haven't seen much of them this season due to injury to either player. This is the first time in a long time that you'll see your primary center backs start in that. That being said, Mihai is in, and Mihai, I would imagine, would take over Williams' spot at that left center back position. And then Baraka, um, whenever he gets in, or Beto Cal, I should say, whenever he gets in, we have to see where he fits in. I would assume where Gregerson is, just to see, hey, over this next year that he's on loan from Getafe, how does he fit into the center back pairing with Lehigh? And that kind of tells me that Gregerson is here for next year. I know we've talked about buyouts and all that, and it's certainly possible, and it's certainly possible that they may bring in some depth center back on the right hand center back side behind Ferragao. But for now, it seems like he's not going anywhere. Gregerson. We'll see at the end of the season, but that's my point. What are you thinking?
No, I don't know. I actually think I still think he might be on his way out because you got to think about how much money they are paying Steon Gregerson for
Yeah.
him to be, unless they're trying to switch to a back three, which Ronnie Dyla has kind of indicated that's not going to happen unless
Mm.
it's out of necessity for whatever reason. Um, then it's kind of hard to justify going out getting two center backs who you basically have stated or said in the Rooted in the Stripes video or whatever that you want to be kind of your good pairing going forward, and then have Steon on like $1.3 million or whatever it is, doesn't make a whole lot of sense for him to
Yeah.
stay. Now, I mean, I just think it's a lot of money and a lot of cap hit to be sitting a center back for. I don't I don't think he'd take too much out of him coming back and starting this game. I personally just think he is moved on from. I don't know that it's this window, but I could definitely see it in the winter. But we'll see. Of
Yeah. I mean,
course,
that
unless like
price.
Better Call comes in and just poops the bed, which is part of the reason why he's on a loan for a year. So
Yeah.
it's kind of a tryout essentially. But
Yeah.
we'll see.
Yeah. So you mentioned that salary. That's the biggest thing. Near over $1 million. I think he's getting paid. Granderson is. Uh, kind of there's going to be an odd man out, and of course Morales was traded to Montreal, kind of precipitating this move. But now, you have not just Mihai here, but Belakal here, and we'll see how those two kind of gel together when Belakal gets his visa. That's what they're waiting on before he can actually play for the team. So kind of visa watch for Belakal at this point in time. Another topic I want to bring up is Stephen Elzate. We still haven't heard too much since Tom Bogert's original report about Stephen Elzate. It makes sense in that, yeah, as we've mentioned before, he's played with or played under Ronnie Dyla at Standard Liège a few years back. So you can definitely see, and we've mentioned this, if you doesn't see Dyla, it's like it's sort of put his fingerprints on this window as much as he can. And I'd imagine that influence will be even more in the winter window when we start to move players out. But Alzate is interesting because who's the odd man out in that case? It would have to be William By, I think, because he's here till 2026, often to 2027. You'll have to sell him, I would imagine, to a European club or trade him in MLS, but I feel if Alzate does make his way in, I feel like Bot is out, right?
Uh, I think if you can make that happen, that would be the best one. I think again though, you're in a situation where there is a possibility and a dimension in which it could be Bartek Slish.
Mhm.
I hope not, because I think Slish has
Yeah,
been the best midfielder on this team by far. I mean, I think Jay Fortune, obviously before he got hurt, was definitely doing amazing things. But
right.
I think, yeah, I mean, I think Miyamba would be the kind of the odd man out in that situation, unless again you've seen some things out of Will Riley, and if a club comes calling and says, "Hey, we see something big and we can get him some good minutes pretty soon," that could always be a possibility as well. But and I reported this last night. This was on Twitter, so if you haven't seen it yet, but I mean, for everybody listening, per sources, I mean, you're the next week is still going to be busy. It's been busy already. We've seen
Mm,
a lot of craziness, and you have to think Alzate would probably be one of the ones that makes it through in terms
mhm.
of crosses the finish line. But I don't know. But I do know that Atlanta's still going to be very busy in the next week or so. So um, it's not all over yet. There's still a lot of moving pieces and a lot of chess being played.
Yeah.
So we'll see.
I mean, you need a left winger. You need pretty good defense. You started multiple defenders. I would like a number 10. And there's talks that Atlanta are interested, according to our friend Nico Moreno out of Seattle, that Atlanta are interested in Atlanta De La Vega. Now, the problem with that is De La Vega has either been injured or has underperformed during his time in Seattle. So, do you really want to bring in a player that isn't performing, another player that isn't performing a DP contract? That's a big question. So, I guess you have to ask yourself, this is just a matter of a change of scenery doing the player good, or is this really move worth pursuing for Atlanta United, considering how De La Vega hasn't really played fully to his potential with Seattle?
So to me, it's actually kind of funny because I think, considering that Pedro de la Vega is a number 10, you already have two number 10s on this roster. You have Miggy, who you're not using as a number 10 right now, and then you have Alexis Ranchuk, who you are using as a number 10. It would be wild to go out and show any kind of interest in another number 10 that would
Well, you
have
can
to
put
be
him on the wing.
probably a DP.
You put him
Maybe
on the
could play on the
wing.
wing.
Yeah.
I just think it's funny because, they're literally playing tonight, right? Like Atlanta, Seattle.
Yeah.
I think Alexis Ranchuk would fit Seattle so much better, and I think Pedro de la Vega would fit Atlanta United so much better. I really think like their styles of play are just playing for the wrong team at this point. But it is intriguing
Yeah.
because you don't show that kind of interest. And look, like, known and listened to Nico for a long time. Like, no reason not to believe anything he says. So there's something there. And then again, I've said multiple times over the past 24 hours, like Atlanta's still very busy. I don't know what moves are happening, but there's still going to be a lot going on with Atlanta United, and um, I, we'll see. Gray's messaging me now. I don't know. I'm not saying Will Riley's on the way out. I don't know. I don't know names of
So
anybody that's on the way out or in. I just know that they're still going to be very, very busy. So yeah, but Pedro de la
I,
Vega is interesting.
I'll say this: if you are looking for a trade, bring in De La Vega and trade, you're going to have to get some cash. I would imagine you get him via a catcher player trade option in that regard. So it's a question of how much that Seattle are asking for him at this point in time. I don't have it in front of me how much he signed him for Seattle when they brought him
I
in.
think it was like 7.5 million or something.
I mean, that sounds right.
It was
Um,
significant.
yeah, 7.5 million. That's club records. So are they willing to wash their hands with that so quickly after a year and a half? It's a question that I'm asking of Seattle, or you just hang on to them for just a little bit. Do you trade them straight up from Mirror and Cuts, though, with some cash involved? That's a good question. I don't know if they do. I mean, we'll see. But there's going to have to be some cash involved. And Seattle, they're good. if they were to get mirror check, if you get a player where he's underperformed, then I'm sure Seattle front office understands it and knows that, and they'll be kind of careful to proceed forward if that is what they want to do. Um, so be interesting to see what happens, what comes of that. But Nico's pretty well connected, very as connected as anybody in Major League Soccer. So maybe just has legs. I don't know if he'll proceed past the talking stages in this one, but we'll see. Another move that a little bit less than Nick that's being reported by Tom Boger, Leo Alfonso, um, on the verge of being sent to Atlanta United. I imagine via trade. I imagine Gams involved there. I'm not a headline slayer by any stretch of the imagination. Though some people are saying, hey, I don't understand this move, but I would imagine, we were talking about it earlier, I would imagine this is a move for Atlanta United too, at least initially, because he's barely played with into Miami's first team this season.
Yeah, I mean, twos for significant time, and then maybe just as depth behind Luke Brennan. And again, unless one of the other moves on the way is as another left winger, or maybe, like you said, Pedro de la Vega, if they can stick him on the left wing, that's always a possibility as well. Um, but it definitely is a depth piece in some way, at least initially. And because I'm never going to count anybody out to go win a starting spot. Like, hey, go do it. Good for you. But also, you got to think about Miami's needs, and you have everything going on with Rodrigo de Paul and the shenanigans with that. They needed some space, and they needed some quick, monopoly money. And this is somebody Chris Henderson's familiar with. So he knows what he's getting. And you had to basically give Miami a chicken sandwich for him. And so, like, you get everything that you need. And it's a very low risk but potentially decent reward trade. So I'm not mad at it. I think it's great. It's just, it's not the big, headline smashing signing.
So we'll see. Maybe it's simply a duck move, but it doesn't feel like it's hard to play to LA team. I think Chris Henderson still does it well. Rather than while it's in my so there's a familiarity with the poster right there. Before we sign off here, anything else that you want to touch on regarding the match, regarding any meta itself?
No, I think the biggest thing, if you guys, are mainly just podcast like show listeners, obviously this is a very big transfer window, and we do this for every transfer window. So if you don't know, go to starvesandspikes.com, and we have a transfer tracker that's got a list of every move that Atlanta United has going on, and it's busy. Obviously, we know this. So, but go to the website. It's extra pinned at the top, and that's kind of your easy way to keep track of all the silly season news that's happening here. I mean, the window's actually been open for 24 hours. I mean, 48 hours at this point, and there's already been a whole bunch of crap. Of course, some of it happened before, but that's your hub to kind of keep track of everything going on.
Well,
Definitely keep an eye out next week for sure.
Well, go there. Support us at Patreon at Top Stars and Stripes. That's some stuff you want to do with that, more things you want to do with that. And yeah, keep on our website, keep on our social media for more news and also for opinion. With that, we will see you next time.